Thank you. I would first like to thank President Hellman and the Western State College student body for the great honor of being your student speaker for commencement today. I would like to begin with a small anecdote about a woman who has influenced me greatly in my life. In 1943, during another time of national upheaval, Joanne Schweitzer, my grandmother, graduated from Western State College and immediately received a job. She did not have to make cover letters or a resume or desperately seek out an employer, which seems to be the modus operandi for our generation. She had the options to be a secretary, a nurse, or a teacher. Her teaching career lasted 40 years and touched many lives. If only we could all be so lucky in our career choices. But with all of our choices today, we are required to know exactly what we want out of our future. As a small child, I was always asked the rhetorical question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Many answers ensued. And now I still don't have an answer, either because I'm not grown up yet, or the question has just changed to the dreaded one of, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? My life? I have to decide right now? I'll get back to you on that. In other words, I don't know. Admitting this is almost more painful than not having an answer. It means that I no longer hold my idyllic dreams of childhood as attainable goals. They have no place in the reality that has taken over my world. So let's go back to an easier, happier time in our lives, when things were simple, when boys were yucky and girls had cooties. We should never neglect the lessons that we learned as children. First of all, starting at a young age, we learned the importance of money. It was such a shock to me one day to find out that Monopoly money couldn't be used to buy things in the real world. We also learned the importance of how to use our resources. A tooth was good for at least $1 in my household. We learned about loans. Dad, if you give me $10 today, I'll pay you back someday. But when, if ever, did we learn the importance of community? As kids, we were already integrated into a community in some form. College was the first time that we ever had to break away from our central family and strike out on our own. During my first semester at Western State College, I was seriously considering moving back in with my parents and taking courses online. Nothing was what I expected it to be, and I'm sure that some of you had a similar experience. What changed my mind happened to be the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. This horrific event really helped open my eyes, and I began to notice a world beyond myself that was suffering and that needed help. In the aftermath of the storms, Western State College students began to organize groups to go down to Louisiana. I never thought that spending my Thanksgiving with 49 other students, 1,300 miles away from home in a small Louisiana city, would be one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. But it has been. I still remember looking out the bus window at that devastation and knowing that there was a reason I was so far from my home, in so desolate a place. The people. We were trying to help them rebuild not only their lives, but by being a volunteer, we were able to help people reconnect within their community. I know I'll never forget the thanks of a family as we cleaned out the remains of their destroyed home, throwing away insulation and broken wood, along with teddy bears and shattered picture frames. Or the grief of a widow whom we helped throw out 3 decades of family albums destroyed by black rot. The hardest part was leaving these people behind when we could see how much there was still that needed to be done. This is the best and worst part of being a volunteer, I think. Knowing that I did what I could, but hoping that I actually made a difference in the face of overwhelming odds. After returning to Western's campus, I felt a strong connection to the 49 other people who had been down in Louisiana with me, and that sense of community was what helped keep me here. Suddenly, I found myself involved in many different activities on campus with a large circle of friends, and Western began to feel like home. My experience in Louisiana illustrated to me that building a community is sort of like searching for happiness. As J. Petit Sen said, happiness is where we find it, but rarely where we seek it. We cannot search for a community. We must put ourselves in situations that foster it through volunteer work. Now it is our graduation, and we must start this whole process over again. In this time of economic upheaval, it is understanding that the everyday concerns and responsibilities of being an adult can cloud our focus. However, as a graduate of Western State College, I think it is safe to say that we are students who don't rely on conventional means to find meaning in our life. Living within the Gunnison community, it would be impossible to stay sane if you needed such regular entertainment like movie theaters and the mall. We are self-motivated for our own needs, but we have a responsibility to the people that helped us establish our independence. Part of this due goes to our parents for their support, while the other driving force in our college choices has been the influence of the institution we chose to attend. We may have many choices in our lives, and these decisions have dictated the paths that we have taken. Today is a day full of options, and we have the freedom to follow our dreams, but sometimes lack the motivation to keep going when the going gets tough. So is our idealism gone? It is apparent that we all have some sort of our ideals left, or else we wouldn't be in college getting our undergraduate degree. There's a reason we are all walking across this stage today. We want to say to everyone that one day, all of our hard work will pay off, that all the late nights and the various trips to Loves were not in vain. Now today, finally, we get our reward. We get to add distinction and meaning to our lives. Nikole James, BA. Now, we have idealism, that little bud inside you that led you to choose Western State College for whatever reason, be it the outdoors, the culture, or the community. Yet today, we accept the end of our career as students within this educational institution by receiving our diplomas. It's not just a piece of paper we are walking with today. It is a culmination of many years of hard work, a representation of the sacrifice and commitment of our parents to ensure that we have greater opportunities of achievement than they had in their lives. 2 months ago, I was fortunate enough, along with 600 of my fellow students, to listen to Carletta Willis Lanier and one of the Little Rock Nine on the Western State College campus. In 1954, Carletta Wallace Lanier and 8 other African-American students were led by armed soldiers through protesting crowds to try and receive an education equal to their ability. Her incredible historical efforts made a huge impression on the Western State College student body, and today, let us not forget what 9 students can accomplish. Look what we've already done on our campus. As students, we have initiated clubs such as the Sustainability Coalition and Sexual Assault Prevention Advocates. As a campus, we've made a commitment to reduce our CO2 emissions as a part of the American College and University President's Climate Commitment. Within our community, Western students are volunteers for enriching programs like Partners and the Gunnison Arts Center. Students have helped make Relay for Life one of the biggest events on campus as well as within the community. Globally, we have had several students volunteer all over the world and all over our nation through various service projects. For a small campus of 2,400 students, we have already made a huge difference. We've got a lot to be proud of. Many of us came to Western not just to go to college, but to find ourselves. I came to Western unsure of who I was or where I was going, worried about the future and afraid of failure. But I stand here before you today, still nervous, worried about the future, and afraid of failure. But I am sure of one thing, myself. I am better prepared more than ever before in my life to face that future and to make it my own. I don't know where our journeys will take us, but I know that we will make positive differences in the world. Many of us already have. In this trying time, it's easy to get caught up in our own troubles, for they are many and they are real. But remember this, we are a generation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Power Rangers, Goosebumps, Magic School Bus, and the Golden Age of Nickelodeon. We may no longer hold on to our idyllic dreams of childhood, but they still influence us. So the question of, what are you going to be when you grow up, is no longer pertinent. It is not the destination we seek, but the process of getting there, because that is how we will truly find ourselves. Today, I've got a myriad of career choices, but I will have to make a decision. But without the opportunities gained from my college career, I would never be able to decide. I know that I draw a lot of strength from the fact that my grandmother was able to get an undergraduate degree as well as start her career in the aftermath of the Great Depression and in the midst of the World War II. In the future, we will meet frustrations, roadblocks, if you will, especially in the face of our economic status. But if we survive negative 40-degree winters, I think that there's hope that we will be able to winter this economy. So now we've reached the end. It is hard to say that we won't miss each other or Western from time to time, but we've followed this path to our journey's end. It is never easy to say goodbye. Not only are we leaving behind our classes, friends, and the dingy apartments we live in, We are also saying goodbye to the potential of our childhood dreams. My hope is that when I leave this community, we will all have the shared experience of our time here together. But on my journey to find a new community, I will never forget the dreams that got me to this point. Thank you to my friends, family, professors, Gunnison community members, and my classmates who have helped me get to this point today. Congratulations, class of 2009.